Here's a cruise ship story that might make your blood boil, especially if you're a fellow degenerate like me. On my last cruise, I sat down at a slot machine and I had not even hit the first button yet. I was getting settled in the chair, getting comfortable, and this woman who was sitting next to me reached over me and turned the volume down on my machine. Not her machine, my machine, the one I was sitting at. And here's the part that gets me. It wasn't even loud. I actually hadn't even hit it yet, so she doesn't know what my volume was. I was just sitting there getting ready to play it, and this woman decided that my machine that I was about to play with my money was somehow her business to adjust. And honestly, I was so taken aback, I didn't even say a single word. I was just absolutely shocked. I just sat there and watched it happen, which, if you know me, is rare. I'm not afraid to talk shit, and I'm not afraid to speak out. Now, do I love a max volume machine? No, I would have probably turned it down myself immediately, but that's not the point. The point is the audacity of reaching into my space and touching my machine before I had even played it. So today we're gonna talk about cruise pet peeves, the little things that other cruisers do at sea that make you quietly question humanity. So let's get into it. Hi, I'm Melissa, a university professor who loves to cruise and who loves to talk ship. Let's start with the big one, because this is a pet peeve that unites every cruiser across every cruise line and at every price point. The chair hogs. You know what I mean? It's 8 in the morning, the ship has barely cleared the port, and somehow someone has already thrown down a paperback and a pair of flip-flops across 4 loungers in the shade, and then they vanish. Not for 30 minutes to go grab a quick bite to eat or go to the restroom, for the entire day. You walk past at 2 in the afternoon, sun is blazing. Every good chair, in fact, every chair is taken by one lonely towel and maybe a stateroom key. Not a human being in sight. Meanwhile, you've got cruisers just trying to enjoy the pool, scanning the deck like they're hunting for parking at Costco on a Saturday morning. Now, I do love it when the crew puts those little cards on the abandoned chairs saying that they're gonna clear them out after a set time if nobody shows up. And I love it even more when they actually do it though, and that's the problem. The cruise lines, they always threaten that, hey, we don't allow chair hogging. If you leave your stuff, we're gonna remove it and hold it for you and clear it up for other cruisers. But it's rarely enforced. And I know this is a hot button issue for a lot of cruisers. It actually irritates me so much, and I don't want to be stressed on my vacation, that I've actually gotten to the point after 50+ cruises that I actually avoid the cruise ship pool entirely because it stresses me out so bad. And when I'm on vacation, I'm trying to chill, not get stressed and not get irritated and disappointed in other people's bad behavior. Next one, elevator etiquette, or the complete absence of it. This is a floating town of a few thousand people all trying to get to the same places, in a lot of cases at the same exact time. And when a show lets out and you get hundreds of people exiting into one small area at the same time, and there's one small bank of elevators or embarkation day, oh my gosh, forget about it. People suddenly lose their minds. You get 2 types of bad behavior here. One, you get the folks who crowd around the door before anyone can get off, so there's this awkward standoff and people are rushing and trying to cross people getting on, and that can be really frustrating. But also, those elevator doors, they close quickly. So you get the people who aren't paying attention when they get to their floor and they lollygag and they don't make a quick hasty exit, and there's people waiting to get on trying to have good etiquette, and people are like, do, I'm just gonna take my time. So people, pay attention. Get off in a timely fashion, but don't rush your way on. Give people time to get off first. And there's a lot of other examples of bad elevator etiquette. People that push every button, people that pile on when there's really no extra space. And I get it, these elevators are super full, but it's really uncomfortable, especially after a hot, sweaty port day and everyone's not smelling their best, to be piled on and touching people. It really grosses me out, which is why I typically like staterooms that are midship, because you're never having to walk up or down too many flights of stairs, and I just prefer to take the stairs. Because that's the other thing too, is you get people who take the elevator and they'll jam on a crowded elevator just to go up one flight of stairs, assuming they have no mobility issues, of course. So here's my rule that I try to follow. If you are able-bodied and you are going 1 or 2 decks, just take the stairs. Leave the elevators for the people who actually need them. And I know a lot of modern day cruise ships, especially Carnival Excel class ships, I'm looking at you, that are absolutely teeny tiny, and it takes 1 cruiser on a scooter to take up most of the elevator space. But let's try to be respectful of cruisers that do have mobility issues, and let's try to take the stairs if we can. And it's almost always going to be faster. Now let's talk about the buffet, because this is a real lesson of the disgustingness of humanity. And I've seen so many bad examples. I have an entire video I made about it because I got off Star of the Seas, and there was a situation where a kid dropped a fork and literally was just picking them up and putting them back in the bin, and his mom was looking and not saying anything, and my man had to intervene like Superman style, like, no, don't put the dirty forks, that's disgusting. And then the girl who's sitting in the Carnival buffet with her bare foot scratching it with a fork. And I'm not talking about a plastic throwaway fork, I'm talking about a metal reusable fork. Absolutely foul. We've seen it all. We've seen people who use their bare hand to grab rolls out of the communal bin, who sneeze and snot and don't wash their hands and then touch things, who touch things and put them back. Kids who lick things and put them back. People coughing all over things. I had a girl swing her hair once. It was really long and in braids, and it went into my beverage. Absolutely disgusting things. I admittedly am a little bit of a germaphobe, but come on, man. There's got to be a baseline of other humans are going to eat this too. Let's use some common sense. I will just say again, just like I don't use the pool anymore, after 50+ cruises, I avoid the cruise line buffet like the plague because I ain't trying to get the plague. Because I know nastiness is everywhere. I know even if it is served food by the crew, it can still be gross and crew can do bad things too. I've also seen that firsthand and I've heard the horror stories from the cruising community, but the buffet, it's just sometimes too much for me. And bad buffet behavior isn't just being disgusting, but there are other bad behaviors and breaches of cruise etiquette that we see at the buffet as well. People who camp out at a table, who play their cards when it's absolutely jam-packed on embarkation day, knowing full well there's people, usually families with little kids too, trying to just find a place to sit down where they can eat their food, and they take up and camp out and take a whole crowded space, not allowing people to sit down and eat their food. People who cut in line, people who get impatient. I see all kinds of bad things in the buffet. And I hate to say this too, but just like cruise ship pools now stress me out, cruise ship buffets also stress me out. So much bad behavior. It makes me angry. I want to say something, but also I'm not confrontational and I get stressed out. I have a strong sense of justice. It's just not worth it for me. So between all that stuff and the disgusting behavior, I now also avoid cruise ship buffets. And yes, you might be wondering, is there anything about cruising you like? I like almost all of the other aspects of cruising, but those are a couple things that really just grind my gears. Now let's talk about bringing the noise. Specifically, I'm talking about people who treat the whole ship like it is their personal living room and that they are DJ playing a set. You got the guy at the pool deck blasting music off his phone with no headphones, the family with kids playing videos at full volume in the buffet, and the people who actually bring their Bluetooth speakers. And here's where I've got to give Carnival a little bit of credit because they're one of the few cruise lines that have actually outright banned Bluetooth devices. They don't play with this. They're hardcore. If on embarkation day when you're going through security, look down, you will see they have a bin just filled to the brim of confiscated Bluetooth speakers. They do not allow it. They are on the prohibited list now, and for good reason. If you get caught with it, they will confiscate it. You'll get it back at the end of the cruise. But I, for one, do appreciate this policy because nobody's trying to hear your music. Someone might be trying to relax at the pool. They might be trying to forget their life at home. They might be trying to read a book. And just because you like your music doesn't mean everybody else likes your music. Bring your headphones, wear your AirPods. And if you absolutely have to listen to your own music, stay at home. Now for the one that crosses the line from being annoying into being a real problem. And I'm talking about smoking where you're not supposed to. Every ship has designated smoking areas. They're marked, they're in sections, usually off one side, one deck, plus the casino if it is a smoking casino. That's it. Everywhere else, including your balcony on most ships, is off limits. But people ignore it constantly, especially when they talk about smoking the stanky jank. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a cruise, I've been out on the balcony in the morning, trying to enjoy a morning coffee or hot chocolate, and all of a sudden you're getting secondhand smoke drifting from beneath you. I've even been in the ocean at Princess Key, I'm not kidding, and I smelled the wafting aroma of marijuana. Now, actually, it doesn't bother me too much. I actually would rather smell that than cigarette smoke, but come on, people, smoke where you're allowed to smoke and keep the air clear for everybody else. Because some people do have allergies too, and they're trying to enjoy their vacation just like you are. And rules are there for a reason. And speaking of the ganja, it is important to know, because this is a recurring issue on certain cruise lines, although they are starting to crack down with the enforcement, which I think a lot of people appreciate. Cruise ships operate under federal maritime law, and weed is not allowed on board, period. Even if you're going to a place where you're like, oh, hey, it's legal, or it's legal in my state, you are not allowed to bring it on a ship, point blank, period. And then there are a whole pile of other little things that people do on cruises that could earn their own little rant that I won't get into in detail, but they do add up. Saving an entire row in a crowded theater for a group that strolls in 5 minutes late. I know some cruisers will just barrel in and say, nope, if there's no butt in that seat, I'm gonna sit there. Letting your kids run like wild herds of buffalo down the hallways at midnight while everyone around you is trying to sleep. Now, luckily, Carnival, man, they seem to be the cruise line of bad behavior. I love you, Carnival, but a lot of these things are kind of Carnival, not exclusive, but tends to happen on Carnival more. But Carnival, good for you. You're trying to crack down. They've actually set really strict curfews where kids have got to be in their rooms at night. And if they aren't, parents will actually get hit with a fine. People cutting in line, especially at guest services where there's usually a long line. Stopping at the top of the gangway to take your family photo of 400 people while everyone else is behind you just trying to get off the ship. Now, none of these, of course, is the crime of the century, and you're on a cruise. Hopefully people can relax and have a good time and let go. That's why we cruise, right? But every single one of these things can add up and cause an irritating situation. So when you see these viral videos of people getting in fights or brawls on cruise ships, it usually stems from bad etiquette and bad cruiser behavior. Things like this that over the course of a cruise can add up and start to make you really irritated. And at the end of the day, none of this is usually about people being mean or people being outright rude or trying to hurt someone else's good time. It's about more oblivion, people that just aren't paying attention, or maybe it's a newbie who's on their first cruise and they don't understand specific nuances of cruise ship etiquette in particular. At the end of the day, everyone's trying to have a good time in a space that's the size of a small city that just happens to float out to sea. And the people people who usually drive us up a wall, they're usually not villains. They just usually forget and they get tied up in their own little bubble thinking they're the only person on that ship. So I wanna know, what are your biggest cruise pet peeves? Or are you the rare cruiser who has none that says, hey, I'm on a cruise ship, nothing's gonna bother me and harsh my vibe? Let me know your experience and thoughts down in the comments and let's talk ship.